Hey, welcome to the Coleman Report Live on May 30th. Only one more day left in the month, so I hope you're getting all your SBA loans input. And if you have any past due loans, I hope you're getting those taken care of before the end of the month as well. Bob is traveling. Bob's been in Europe. He neglected to invite myself, Chuck, or Jason. But Bob is on the phone, and he's going to share with us a little about these pictures. Hey, Bob, tell us about it.
Hey, thanks, Lance. Sorry I'm not there. I got canceled last night in Washington, D.C., so I'm traveling as we speak. This is pretty cool. Some of you may recognize the person I'm with, Chris Hearn, president of Fountainhead Capital, and he, one of the new SBLC license holders. The boy with the Marines T-shirt is his son. We showed up in Normandy, and the grave that you see is the kid's great uncle. His grandfather actually had a that's his twin. So, and I believe the grandfather's still alive. We show up unexpected, unannounced. Anyway, they rolled out the red carpet for us. When you look at the cross, that brown stuff is actually sand from Omaha Beach. The gentleman who died, he died at 19 years old. He was killed on July 9th. So we were there on the Memorial Day 75th anniversary. So that was very moving, very moving, very sobering. The next one is a little bit more whimsical. We went up to Flanders Field. Those are, Lance, Chuck, those are World War I bombs that a farmer just pulled off his field. And what they do when they get the bombs, they just place them by the side of the road. We saw 3 sets of bombs, and the bomb disposal goes by and picks them up. So obviously they've trained the 12-year-olds not to go and touch those things. Anyway, I thought you got a kick out of that. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Bob.
Oh, well, that was it. I'm gonna turn it over to you. I thought you guys liked a little story.
Sharon, great trip.
Hey, thank you, Bob, and we look forward to having you back. Safe travels. Hey, I want to introduce our panelists today. We've got my great friend Chuck Evans with Capital Growth Solutions, a lender service provider. We also have Jason Millison. He's with Distressed Loan Advisors. Jason was special assets, and Jason, I may get the title wrong, a special assets executive for one of the larger SBA lenders in the United States, oversaw a $400 million, Jason, is this correct, portfolio of delinquent SBA loans?
Right. Well, I was a team leader, and so, under me were other workout officers, but in total it was about $400 million, and that was just on the heels of the Great Recession. So that was the heyday for loan workout.
Jason, you may not know this, but my background and probably I love underwriting and closing, but servicing and liquidation are near and dear to my heart. Can you tell us in a couple of minutes what distressed loan advisors do?
Sure. I mean, pretty simply, I help borrowers through the liquidation and offer and compromise process. And in the beginning, all my clients would come through Google searches. I've written hundreds of articles. They're all on my website about various questions that people have. More recently, I'm actually having lenders come to me either in situations where they have borrowers who are asking questions that are above and beyond what a lender really should be answering for them. Things like, well, how much should I offer? And, where should I get the money and how should I structure it? And, a lot of lenders feel like, well, you make the offer to us and we'll evaluate it. And so, they're in a position where they want their borrower to succeed because, an offer and compromise that works out for everybody, it's a recovery. But they're not in a position to just, tell them exactly what they need to do because it is a negotiation. So a lot of cases they'll say there's a firm out there. His name is Jason. He'll talk to you, and I can bring some value to the lender that way. And then the other way is lenders who have charged off loans, so they're going to do their wrap up. If lenders say, well, what do I do now? They can also give them my name, my information, and for those who don't know, once a wrap-up is done, the SBA will send a letter that gives 60 days, and that's like the last stop before Treasury. And so I can work with borrowers in that capacity too.
Well, and these are all great things, and certainly our participant banks need to think about this because I do Jason, see a little more stress, if not distress, in SBA loan portfolios. And that leads us to the first poll question for you. We love to ask poll questions. Small business delinquencies are edging up. Yes, no, or I don't know. Look forward to seeing these responses. If I had to answer the question, I would say yes.
From my perspective, I'm seeing it too, just in terms of the number of inquiries that I'm getting, and that's usually a pretty good barometer of what's going on. So that's I've seen it too.
Well, and the response is 60% of you said you're seeing them edge up a little bit. I think that's what I'm hearing across the board in the industry. Chuck, what's your take on that?
Well, on the loans that we touch, we haven't seen much of it, but I've heard that from the industry. One of the things that came up was, these increases in interest rates. You need to re-am the loans every year. We've seen some lenders that haven't done that, which has caused issues. And then doing your projections and sensitizing them, and with the rates going up the way they are, we got to be starting to look at this a lot closer.
Absolutely. Let's go to the second poll question. Do you see an uptick in 10-day delinquencies, loans that are not paying on time? And this question is very much in conjunction with the previous question, but, are you seeing borrowers who used to pay on time or ahead of time suddenly going to 10 days past due? Well, and the response is absolutely in line with what I thought. I think as we reprice these loans, we've had a 2% increase in the interest rates. As Chuck said, as they re-amortize them, that's about almost a 40% increase in the interest rate. You're going to see more stressed borrowers. Poll question 3, is your bank comfortable releasing collateral unilaterally on an SBA loan? Well, and as we all know, if you look at the unilateral authority matrix, you can release collateral unilaterally as long as you have adequate justification for that release. And we've asked this question over a period of years, Chuck and Jason, and the response never changes. It seems like some people are comfortable, but a lot of SBA participant banks feel uncomfortable releasing collateral under unilateral authority.
I see that too. I've spent a fair amount of time arguing with banks and sending them, the 7A servicing matrix saying, this is within your authority. The SBA doesn't even want a notification, and they'll, I think out of an abundance of caution and, to protect that guarantee, they still want ironclad in writing that the SBA is okay with it, even though the SBA says they don't want to know.
Well, hey, thank you guys for answering the poll questions, and thank you, Jason, for bringing some additional information and color to the Coleman Report Live.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Chuck is on here. He's a good friend of mine, and leave it to Chuck to ask a difficult question. Chuck, how do you feel about that? Chuck's got a question.
That's what I'm doing, man.
Chuck's got a question from a bank. They got a bill from SBA for portfolio monitoring, and what is that for? I've not received one before, and I've got an SBA audit coming up. How can I get ready? And guys, if you go, the SBA monitors your portfolio on an ongoing basis. And the Paris score is an example of that. You see updates on a quarterly basis, but they look at you, they monitor you online throughout the year, and there is a fee for that. And I'm going to read I've got the fees printed out. If you are a non-delegated lender, you don't have POP or express authority, the fee for the ongoing monitoring that SBA does is $119 per million of guaranteed portfolio for SBA regulated lenders. Those are your non-bank lenders. A bank that is federally regulated and a non-delegated lender gets charged $120.64 per $1 million. If you're a delegated lender, there's a little additional charge. That charge is for reviewing your delegated authority. It's $134.52 for SBA supervised lenders, $136.18 for federally regulated lenders. Now, if you're getting an on-site SBA audit, there's a couple things to know. One, they're expensive, aren't they, Chuck? What is the price range?
Pretty much. What about 25,000 or more?
Yeah, they basically, and I mean, I guess they could be less, but the SOP indicates that they start at about 25K. The best way to prepare for it is not to wait until SBA sends you a loan list. You need to be doing ongoing file review. Chuck and I, at a previous organization, we did a ton of file review. And Chuck, is Capital Growth doing file review?
We are, and we tell lenders today, you know, there's some really good training out there that you do, that Okram has on this, and get ready for it. Have your files organized. Focus on the ones in the last quarter if you're behind, because that's the first ones that they're going to look at. So that's one thing. Meeting the deadlines for the data to get back to the SBA. Be transparent about it. Make sure you have your staff available. These are all things that Okram's asked lenders to do. And when you look at your files, everybody knows what they need for commercial lending. But make sure that the CABRs are in there, the 4506s, your equity injection verification and sourcing. Just make it as clean as the files are. That's the best advice I can give you.
And Chuck, another hot button is the Form 159 properly executed and sent in as well. Again, best way to prepare for a audit is have an ongoing review process of your SBA files. The other thing is go to your PIRA score in SBA 1, look at the loans that are considered high-risk origination, and Chuck, you're exactly right. Look at those loans in the last quarter of the last year that were considered high-risk origination. Those absolutely need to be reviewed. Also click on the stressed loan tab and look at those loans and make sure those loan files, you want all of your SBA loan files to be in good order, but especially the stressed loans and those loans that SBA considers high-risk origination. Just real quickly, again, you can go into SBA 1. If you go to the upper right-hand corner, you'll see your PIRA score. Click on that. It'll give you each of the categories, and you'll see stress loans. And you can click on that link, and not just stress loans, but high-risk origination loans. All those files absolutely need to be reviewed and make sure they're in top shape. Okay, let's go to the next question. Rosemary sends an interesting question with a lot of data. There was some supporting narrative, and this is a project where there's been an existing restaurant for a period of time. There is a person who is leasing it and operating a restaurant now, and now they're looking to buy it. She's asking, can a refi be done with another SBA loan, 504 or 7A? The answer to the question, this person that's leasing the property is now acquiring the business. So in my view, this is a business acquisition loan and probably be best suited for the SBA 7A loan program. What do you think, Chuck?
Yeah, well, if you're using a 504, 85% of the proceeds have to be 504 eligible. You can add more in, but it seems to me to be more of a 7A project to me. I had to phone a friend, Brightbridge CDC, to ask, and they gave me some of the information.
Okay, let's go ahead and move on.
Hey guys, we have two submitted questions. So
okay,
we have one from Darren and one from Christine. There you go.
There's the answer to the question. There's a lot of similarities. The lender portal score and the PIRA score have a lot of the same metrics in it. I do get hung up on the score itself, but I'm more concerned about the detail and the data within the score, what creates a positive PIRA or what creates a good PIRA score, LPA score. There are some differences, but they're also extremely similar. And Darren, that was a confusing response, but that's what I got. When you put a loan into, Christine is asking, if you put a loan in SBA 1, the 159 is automatically sent to Coleman. The answer to that question, I've used SBA 1. I teach training. I do not think the 159 is automatically submitted to Coleman. If you go to the SOP 5010-5K and you take a look, it says that the one executed 159 has to be submitted to Coleman services within 2 1502 reporting cycles. But SBA 1 does not automatically send a 159 to Coleman.
And we got one more question, guys, from Melinda. Thanks for all the questions, by the way.
Okay, Melinda asked, GP loan that is not closed has an address update due to 9/11 addressing. It's an E-Tran update. However, the authorization has the address listed for the deed of trust and the appraisal. Will changing an E-Tran flow to these items, or am I looking at a 327? Yeah, I think you're going to have to submit a 327 to correct. If you've got a GP loan, it goes to Citrus Heights for processing. Servicing of that loan belongs to Citrus Heights until the final disbursement. So I think, yes, you can make the correction in E-Tran, but to be safe, I would submit a 327 correcting that address to the National Guarantee Processing Center. Oh, this is, Chuck, this is from our underwriting classes. Everybody knows we have a lot of great certified SBA lending courses. One is the SBA Underwriter Certification Training. And want to give a shout out to Stephanie, who submitted, and this is just a portion of it, submitted a credit memorandum already on the Franklin Brothers case and did an outstanding job on that. So great job, Stephanie. One thing I want to point out, the importance of a quality credit memorandum, one that touches base with all the requirements in SBA underwriting, is so important in getting the guarantee paid. Wouldn't you say, Chuck?
Absolutely, it is.
So great job, Stephanie. We appreciate you being so timely and doing such a great job.
Very good.
Other news, Newtek was assigned servicer rankings by S&P. Newtek Business Services, they do a lot of things. They underwrite and originate SBA loans. They're one of the larger, if not largest, non-bank SBA lender, as well as they do provide some LSP services. And they were given a rating by S&P on not only their small business lending unit, but also their loan servicing unit.
Congratulations. Chuck,
yeah, can you tell us a little bit about these S&P ratings? Do you know?
No, I don't. As a public company, hats off to Newtek Barry and Brent and Rob and the crowd over there.
Absolutely. The other thing, the new SBA Form 1050 came out. There's a lot of similarities. The only big deal in the 1050, it used to be a simple one-page form, Chuck, and you attached all your disbursement requests and documentations to the back of it. Now it's got a second page with a little more detail. It's like a use of proceeds page, and it has to be executed. I think SBA wanted a little more detail on the use. They want to see the 1050 match up with the authorization and the credit memo in terms of use of proceeds.
I've reached out to some of our folks, and they like it. It helps.
Yeah.
According to
and it's supposed to start being used on July the 1st, 2019. Most lenders, and Chuck, as an LSP, you're already using it, correct?
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, guys, there's some great events. Oh. Chuck, I'm going to let you take this right here. Chuck, tell us about the upcoming lender training events here.
Well, as I said before in some of these sessions, lender training is paramount in this industry, and these regional conferences are a great way to get that and meet SBA people on a local level. The one coming up, America West Small Business Lending Summit, is education oriented. They're 90-minute sessions. We have some really, really good trainers there. Kim Rare from Starfield and Smith, Tom Hofstetter, Lisa Preston. So they're 90-minute classes. I'm looking forward to participating in this one as well as the rest of these in Great Lakes, in Foxwood, Music City, in Nashville, Flagel, and Orlando. So these are all very, very good sessions to go to.
Well, and Chuck, I think you make a great point. An SBA participant lending institution, you should send your people to these conferences. It's a great way to network and a great way to get trained.
It's $500 or $500. It's not $3,000. So,
hey guys, we have certified loan training. We were talking about it earlier. The SBA loan closer course. Last year we won a SIPA award, best online training product. And guess what, guys? We're nominated again. Joseph, Bob, Chuck, and I will all be in Washington to see if we are at least in the top 3. But we've got several certified training courses. Upcoming webinars include how to prepare a compliant credit memo according to the SOP 5010. That's on June 12th. My litigation plan compliance and wrap-up report, I think critically important webinar for you to participate in on June 26th. And then we're going to talk about how to monitor, manage, and improve your peer score on July the 10th. We also have the upcoming industry webinars. Guys, we always love to answer your questions. If you have a question, send it to Joseph at colemanreport.com or Bob at colemanreport.com. We appreciate your participation and the opportunity to answer your questions. Chuck, appreciate you being on here today. We're old friends, and it's fun to be on with an old friend, and we miss Bob. Thank you, everybody, for participating. Have a great weekend.